Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Prepper Podcast. And I'm absolutely buzzing to be joined by somebody who I've been watching for quite a while on YouTube. This is Jane, the Frugal Queen in France. How are you, Jane?
I'm really glad to be here. I've been watching you since you started. I love your channel. It's a pleasure to be here.
Oh, it's a pleasure to have you. I'm a drop in the ocean compared to your channel. If you've not seen Jane's channel, it's on the bottom and it'll also be in the comments of the video. You've got like 532 videos. You've been on there 4 years, 33,000 subscribers. Amazing. It's helping everybody save money. So I'll start with the basic questions I ask everyone else, which might seem a bit out there, but first thing I always ask is, are you a prepper? Do you consider yourself a prepper?
I'm ready for you on this one, and I've been thinking about this one thoroughly. And here is my take on this, and I really hope that nobody is offended by this. And it is this one. If you are a sensible, intelligent adult, you should be prepared. You should be prepared for redundancy. You should be prepared for illness. You should be prepared for a power cut. You should be prepared for bad weather. And I don't get it when people are not prepared.
Okay. That's a great answer. Is that a yes, though?
Yeah, I would be.
Yeah.
I would consider myself to be very much Baden-Powell, Boy Scout prepared.
Excellent. Absolutely love that. So have you always been like that, or did something get you started to be prepared? Did something happen, or did something trigger that?
Two massive life changes. When I was a teenager, both my parents got really sick and couldn't work. And we had to survive as a family at any one stage. And my dad was a lorry driver. My mum was a school cleaner. So you live on one of those wages back in the 1970s. That's not a lot of money. So we were, as a family, my mum and dad were like Tom and Barbara Good. If you could make it, they made it. If you could grow it, they grew it. And so fast forward to all those years later, and I'm married and Mike and I are together, and he got made redundant. And we had to do exactly the same things. It was just at the time where jobs were not that easy to get. And it was a long time before about 6 months before he got back to work again.
Yeah.
So we were in that difficult situation where at the time, I was a night care assistant in an old people's home. So making do on my money just about paid the mortgage.
Mm-hmm.
And everything else, we had to just live on what we frugal people call a bare bones budget.
Yeah.
You know, when you reduce your budget to eating rice and beans, when you reduce your budget to heat in only one room, when you reduce the budget to everybody baths in the same bathwater, you return back to those 1970s Tom and Barbara Good make, do, and mend methods. So those two big life-changing moments, and at any time now, I feel like I'm ready because at the moment, I don't need to tell you and everybody watching this that the cost of living crisis is kicking us all up the backside.
Yeah.
And it's rough out there. And if we are not on it financially and prepared in our domestic circumstances, because I can't change the world, but I can change what goes on in my own house.
Yeah.
That's the biggest place to be prepared.
Yeah, definitely. So after them events, and things started to pick up again where you're both working, there was incomes, rather than just go back to old habits of let's go and spend all this, you just carried that on?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, when I was 33, I went back to school and I went to university at 33 and trained to be a teacher. And for a few years, I will be honest with you, I had something what we frugal people call lifestyle creep. When you earn a bit more money, you spend a bit more money. You earn a bit more, you spend a bit more. And we did that.
I do that.
Yeah. Everybody, don't kill yourself over it. Everybody does it. So to the point that we were living in a nice house, we decided we were going to put an extension on it, and then we were going to get a car on finance because I was working an hour away from home. You can always justify borrowing money, can't you? Always justify that. So, and then we ended up in 45 grand of personal debt.
Yeah.
And we had a house that was killing us. We'd done the whole thing. We moved to the dream house, 4-bedroom, detached, driveway, garage, garden, the lot. We'd made it. The only problem is we had a 1,400 a month mortgage,
Mm-hmm.
and we were paying about 1,000 a month in debts,
Yeah.
and it was killing us.
Yeah.
So we decided we were going to downsize and sell the house and go to a small house. And I had that pivotal moment in my life when I was literally on the phone to the mortgage company, and they said that they're not buying it, Jane. I said, what? I've sold the house. What do you mean I can't buy this little 2 up, 2 down? What are you talking about? They said, no. Like, they've said, no, you've got too much money in personal borrowing. So I had faced with that moment in my life that if I wanted to change my life, I had to pay off that debt. And
Yeah.
we paid it off in 2.5 years
Wow.
by
Yeah.
being deeply frugal. The whole thing again, like mum and dad, like when we were made redundant, living off homemade soup, living off egg, chips and beans, not buying any clothes, not going out to eat, not
Mm-hmm.
putting the central heating on, just using the wood burner. So at any moment in our lives, we're ready.
Yeah.
We're ready. We've been there. It's like a hamster wheel, Mike. We do
Yeah.
these things, we learn something sensible, then we do something that's not sensible again. And I think now we've done what we frugal people is we've got off the wheel.
Yeah.
We've
Yeah.
got off the wheel. And now I think we're steady now. We're steady
Yeah.
now. But it took that lifestyle creep and that bit of stupidity really. And it was a big lesson.
Yeah. Did the choice to move to France, I think it's Brittany you're in, isn't it? Is it Brittany you're in? I think, was that anything to do with this journey? Or was that just a case of we want to get out of here? Are we just enjoying ourselves?
It was partly, we lived in Plymouth for 13 years. We've got the Brittany ferry that goes from Plymouth to Roscoff.
Mm-hmm.
And when we had a bit more money, it was pretty cheap to get on the ferry and pack your tent in the back of the car, take the kids over to Brittany and go and find a campsite. And we used to go to camping municipals, and it was, back in the day, it was like, I don't know, it was like €10 a night. It was
Yeah.
cheap. It
Yeah.
was cheap. And we loved the area. And every time we came back to the UK and we were hit by a wall of noise and traffic and people and crowds, we kept thinking, one day, wouldn't it be nice if we could go there for longer? And then when we started going there for longer, we thought, one day, wouldn't it be nice to retire there?
Yeah.
And I suppose just kind of, you go to somewhere for long enough, it feels like home. It just felt like home in the end.
Yeah. So once you've got to that stage where, that's an impressive achievement, the debts. I'll just say that because, people go into like IVAs, which take 6 years, and debt management plans, which take 10, 20 years. So to do that in such a short time, that's a lot of discipline. So well done for that. Once you've got past all that, does it feel like a sacrifice to maintain that frugal living lifestyle?
Well, no, because there's a bit more story to paying off those debts, of paying them off in 2.5 years. We didn't do it on our own income. So I was a teacher and I took on extra work. So I used to work Wednesday, Thursday, Friday and Saturday nights after work, private tutoring. And I used to run a study school on a Saturday for more private tutoring as well. Mike worked for Plymouth City Council and he did overtime every Saturday for 5 years. Every Saturday for 5 years. And on top of that, every summer holiday from when the exam, I haven't finished yet. I was also an AQA GCSE examiner as well. So I used to do that as well.
Okay.
And then I used to work all summer long on a campsite cleaning. I used to clean the caravans, clean the bar, clean the toilets, because I just wanted to make that money and get that debt paid. And then we continued.
Yeah.
We then continued for 3.5 years after that to knock off another 50 grand off our mortgage.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing what hard work can do alone, isn't it? And not just spending that money on frivolous things. A lot of people will say, oh, that's great and everything, but I've got kids and kids take all your money. You think that's a big factor with stuff with frugal living?
It can be, but if you run a home where there is some kind of self-discipline and motivation and all of those things there, the kids can see it.
Hmm.
And the kids can see the big picture in the same way as you get your kids to do the homework, as you get your kids to mow the grass, that you get your kids to get the shopping in, that you get the kids to put the shopping away, that when you sit down and write budgets, that your kids are involved. And when I did all of those things, I remember people being quite critical that I did this all with my kids. And I just say to myself, look, it's building character in them.
Hmm.
It's building strength in them and resilience in them. And I don't think that's a bad thing to teach kids. There may be a period in your life where you're going to have to go without.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we can't afford to have the central heating on 22 degrees. It's set to 17. Put a
Mm.
jumper on.
It does seem to be a generational thing, because I grew up where my mum was working 3 jobs, and still, we were having what we considered party food for tea time, because we had a hot meal at school, and we were having these sandwiches and cakes and stuff, not knowing that she did that because she could bake in batch and save a lot of money that way. We thought it was great, but you don't think of it, and everyone just wants to give the kids everything they didn't have. But they probably lose something in that, don't they? They lose that lesson.
Oh, I think you do. Something that I wanted with my kids is not for them to have stuff, but to have experiences.
Yeah.
And luckily at the time, I know it's difficult now, at the time, there were loads of things that my kids could do in Plymouth that was cheap. My son used to go along to Plymouth Argyle's Junior Greens. It was £1
Yeah.
all day Saturday, all day. Put the
Nice.
players' boots out, get the changing rooms ready, and then they get to watch a home game. My daughter used to go up to St Budo to play tennis, and remember, it was £1. It was good.
Yeah.
They were in Boys Brigade. They were, if there was something on at school, I'd say put your name down for it. It's free.
Yeah.
Be in the choir, be in the play, be on the football team. It doesn't cost anything at all.
Yeah.
So I made sure that they had experiences, and they did things really, really cheaply. So we would take them on like a £1 ferry ride over the river to the park
Yeah.
and take a picnic. And they used to think that was amazing. Where did you go on Saturday? Oh, Mum took me on a boat.
Yeah. Yeah. It's weird because they do remember stuff like that. It seems you can I could take the kids to Blackpool and spend a fortune in the arcades, and the next day they'll tell the mum they've not done anything. But we went out walking and hiking and on a nature trail where there was art carvings and stuff. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. Didn't cost me a penny.
Yeah, they really do love it. My kids can remember the strangest things. They can remember when because we for years couldn't afford and didn't have a car. We got
Yeah.
rid of the car. I mean, I didn't mention that in there as well. In our frugal journey, we got rid of the car. And then when we got a car again, I remember us buying a £400 second-hand Volvo Estate. And because it had heated seats in it. And my kids, I'd give them a lift to school, and they go and tell their friends at school, yeah, well, we've got a new car and it's got heated seats. And I was like, it's £400.
Yeah. It's a Volvo though. It's built like a tank.
I know it was about 25 years old when we bought it, but the kids were really proud of it.
That's great. That's a good way to be. It's definitely a good way to be. Do you think as a lifestyle, I mean, I say this about prepping in general, but do you think it becomes an addiction? Like you get a little high out of saving some money?
Oh, absolutely. My husband's called Mike, and we've got this saying in our house is we don't pay full price for anything.
Yeah.
Nothing. Nothing. I don't buy new underwear unless I get a 20% discount code. And if I can't find, and I literally go online and I'm looking for it. I'm looking La Redoute, 20%. I'm looking for discount codes. I'm looking for the companies that have got discount codes. If I need anything, I'm looking for it on Back Market or something like that. I'm looking for it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's kit that I need for vlogging. I'm not paying full price for anything. I just won't do it. And it's fun.
Mm-hmm.
It is absolutely fun. So, and that's the sort of stuff I share on the channel, is how to use all the supermarket apps, get all the digital discount coupons and codes and stuff. And And then the other stuff as well, like growing vegetables and just not paying for stuff, the stuff that's free.
Yeah.
Like,
People don't take advantage of it enough, do they? I'm glad you've said that, and it makes me feel a bit more normal now, because my partner calls me Tam from a Scottish sitcom called Still Game, because she says I'm tight. I'm the one going to Asda buying all the bread when it's reduced, because I know I can freeze it and it'll still last and things.
that's a great way to do it, though. I wouldn't, but I can't think of the last time we paid full price. In fact, here in the supermarkets in France, if we get to the supermarket first thing in the morning, they do a sack, a big plastic sack about the size of a bin bag. And in there is all the bread, croissants, pain au chocolat, pain au raisin, everything for €5. And we do that about once a month, and we fill up a whole drawer in the freezer of like bread for the month for €5. Who
Yeah.
pays full price for bread?
Yeah, I mean, there is I've preached shopping tips for like saving money on shopping. There's loads with that, but I mean, you go a step beyond. I believe I saw a video the other day where you did your full washing on solar power. Is that right?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. We've well, full disclosure, we partner with our All Powers and do a lot of work with All Powers. So now we've got All Powers boxes and solar panels. We use them all the time. So my electricity bill has drastically reduced. It was about 137, and now it's sitting around just under €50 a month.
Yeah. Is it the same there as it is over here, where the electricity bills have gone through the roof over the last year or two?
Not as high as yours, because don't forget, here in France, electricity is state owned. It's EDF is electricity. It's owned by the government. It's owned by the people,
Ah, right. Okay.
and so they are the biggest market holders. There are other electricity companies, but as long as EDF holds the marketplace and they keep the prices low, nobody else charges any more.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd imagine if you were an all-electric house, you had 4 kids, you had the tumble dryer going all the time, you had the heating on full blast, you can have a big bill, but not the way I run a house.
I love that. There's some absolutely great money saving tips on your channel, and I'm constantly writing things down and driving my partner mental with it. So with Frugal, I was going to question this, because this is an answer I get when it comes to saving money. Some of my friends less about that, more about making more. So is part of frugal living investments and making your money work for you?
Yeah, but you can take it at a very steady pace if you start young enough.
Yeah.
So if you like I did started a job at like 35, and there is a works pension, get yourself in it. And I know in the prepper community that a lot of people look at investment as a bit silly, because they will think to yourself, well, what happens if? Well, the big if is not as, that's controversial. It's not as likely as we hope it's not as likely as we think it's going to be. But
Yeah.
what is likely is you're going to grow old. What is likely is you're going to need a pension. What is likely is that you're going to need some money in your pocket for an emergency, like your
Yeah.
car breaks down, or your glasses break, or your tooth cracks, or your kid gets sick and you need to take time off work and they don't pay you.
Yeah. I mean, we do preach this all the time. We've got a new Sunday show out now, weekly, and we talk about it with the lads on there a lot. And it's not throwing everything into the prepping for some big case scenario. It's like you say, you might lose your job. You might have a month without work. You might have a problem with your bank and you can't get your wages out. It's little disasters, as it were, that you should be more.
It's to nick IKEA's phrase, it's the everyday ordinary. It's the everyday ordinary stuff that absolutely throw you through. And I used to grit my teeth every September, because every September as a teacher, I would know that there would be parents every year sending their kid in with a letter explaining to us of why they haven't got their uniform yet. And it's like, well, you've had this child for 11 years. You know it needs clothes. You've had it every day for 11 years. You've never had it running around naked yet. And yet this year is the year that you decided you didn't need to buy them any clothes.
Yeah.
And every year people get upset that there's a school holiday and how are they going to feed the children? It's like, so you've had this child 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, and you've not thought yet that you're going to have to feed it every
Yeah.
day, whatever day that is. So it is those eventualities, and people who have children, I'm always saying to them, you really need to be prepared.
Mm-hmm.
You need to be either putting the money aside for their clothing, their Christmas, their birthdays, the school trips, what they're going to need in the future, or you need to be buying it bit by bit.
Yeah.
I used to start buying the next like school clothes that the kids would need when they'd just bought these. So each month I'd buy them a bit more. And each month I'd buy them something for Christmas, a pair of slippers, a pair of pajamas,
Yeah.
a small toy. That's parental prepping. That's something you could talk about, parental prepping, because they ain't prepared. They're not prepared.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, is that victims of the nation that we're in at the moment, where they're starting to get used to these handouts? Because I mean, I don't get them, but I know my ex-partner, when the kids are on a holiday, she gets X amount of vouchers for the supermarket, so the school's paying for the food while they're on holiday. And what gets me is this could be taken away at any point.
Yeah. I think it's good if you get it and you need it. I'm not against that, but it's dependency.
Mm-hmm.
It's dependency that I'm worried about. I'm all for self-reliance. I'm all for self-reliance. I'm an old lady, and one of the things I've learned in my lifetime is nobody's going to pick you up when you fall. Nobody's coming to get you. And any of those bits and pieces that people have had as help, that's what they are. They're help. They're not to sustain you.
Yeah.
They are absolutely not to sustain you. They're not there as in they never, and people get upset that it's not enough. Well, it's not going to be enough, because if they gave you enough, where would be the incentive for you to be self-reliant?
But would it ever be enough, even if it was increased? That's the question. It's never enough for some people, is it?
No. And I have this real theory about money that I've known people in my lifetime who have earned 150,000 a year and they haven't saved a penny.
Mm-hmm.
And I've known people who've earned 25,000 a year and they've put money into their pension every month. They've put some money aside every month. When the car broke down, you know, they've saved up the 500 quid to get it serviced, to get its new tires, to get what it's needed. So it's not just about earnings. Because yes, it is about self-reliance, and it is about earning more money, and it is about steady investment. I mean, my kids are your age. My kids are sort of in their 30s, and you know, I'm always saying to them, you know, how much are you allowed to put in an ISA a year? How much? Well, put in what you can. Put in they've got pension ISAs, and they've also got pensions, because I said your pension, like mine, when you actually get it, will be enough, but you won't be eating steak every Friday.
Yeah. The does the prepper side of you, because I know you do have a couple of videos on prepping, especially for like little things like blackouts and things like that. Some great videos. But does the prepper side of you, do you give that to the kids as well? Do you make sure that they're sorted that way? Do you try and encourage that?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, with the cost of living crisis and heating, for example, you know, I said to them, you really need to look into the kind of heaters that heat people and not the whole room. So you look into those kind of affordable heating. And they both have color gas heaters as well, because at any time, if you can't afford, if your electricity is not working or it goes to be too expensive, you have an alternative form of heating if you want to use them. So yeah, they do all the things that I do. They put their washing on the line. They don't have tumble dryers. They're sensible with their heating. They both have pensions. They both got mortgages. They're both. I didn't give them any money either. I didn't give them any money for their mortgages. So they had to save their own deposit. So when they were saving their deposits, they rented rooms.
Instead of whole houses.
They lived in rooms and shared a room with their partner until they saved up their deposit. They went without a car. They went without holidays.
Yeah.
because
No, it's
I didn't have any money to give them.
yeah. No, it's great that you give them lessons to them as well, and not just, you're not saving all the money so they can take it. That's what you often find with parents. They try to save up and it all gets taken by the kids. What's the biggest hurdle you've had when it comes to like doing this lifestyle? What's the hardest adjustment, as it were?
I think if I look back in those early days, it's stopping stuff, and people are aware that you've stopped doing stuff. So when you stop, and as a female as well, when I stopped dyeing my hair, for example, because I was spending 75 a month getting my hair done.
I know that pain, not myself, but
Yeah, my hair done. So when I stopped doing things like that, when I remember I was still at work and I was still wearing makeup, and somebody looked at my makeup and went, "Don't recognise that brand. Where did you get that from?" And I went, "Aldi." "What, you get your makeup in Aldi?" "Yeah." "Yeah." And all my friends are around me, wearing long com. I'm like, "No, Aldi." And people can be a bit snobby.
Yeah.
People can be a bit snobby when everybody shops in Aldi now, but I remember when I started shopping in Aldi, everything was stacked on pallets, and the girls and guys on the tills used to know the prices off by heart, and it was a bit, "Oh, you shop in Aldi."
Yeah, I remember, because I wouldn't let my mum give us an Aldi bag for the swimming kit at school. I said, "No, can we put it in an Asda bag, please?" But it had that stigma at the time, same as Netto, which is weird that it did.
Yeah, and the other one was where I chose to live as well. So I chose to live in an affordable neighborhood, and other people would go, "Oh, I don't know if I could live there," because I lived like there was my house, and like there was the A38, so you had to shout at each other in the garden. It was so loud, and it was like, "Well, it's cheap. It's cheap. It's what we could afford. Let's get real here. Let's get real. This is what I can afford."
You tune that out? Did you find you tune that out after a while though? We moved onto a main road, the A666, when we were younger, and when we first moved in, it's like, oh my god, the noise from the road's horrendous. After a month, it's like you don't even hear it anymore.
No, I didn't hear it in the end, because it's like a whom whom noise, isn't it?
Yeah.
And especially nighttime with motorbikes going down it. And do you know what? I live in the middle of a forest now, and you've never heard noise like it on a windy, stormy night with a forest around you. It's like something out of The Hound of the Baskerville. It's like a horror film out there. It's really, really loud.
Yeah, in a nice way though. It's better than traffic, right?
Anything's better than traffic.
But jumping quickly back to preparedness, it's more to see the differences, because obviously you've had experience, you've lived over here, you're now living over there. Does it seem like people are more prepared in France, less, or is there more government advice? I do often say that the UK government's behind everybody else. How do you find it there?
Well, we're given the standard advice to be prepared here, because it's a bigger country. If your power goes down, the Enedis company has to send helicopters out to find where it's gone wrong. And they might not find it for a couple of days, because it's a big place. So like, since we've been here, and I've lived in this house for 5 years now, every single winter we have blackouts. We have no power. For the shortest time was 3 days, the longest was 8.
Wow. Yeah.
Completely without power. And lots of people, for that meant no water either, because the water's pumped. Ours isn't pumped, ours is gravity fed. But lots of people are without water. So everybody around here, like every house around here has wood heating.
Yeah.
Wood heating, wood water, and we all have great. When you go in the supermarket here, you'll see these huge pans. I think, what are they doing in it? Boiling a whole pig or something? Massive pans. And it's because everybody here has a stove, and they can boil big pots of water and get their own hot water. It's like everybody here preserves their own food. So if you go into the garden store here, first of all, the garden stores full of stuff for farming. Just regular people. Regular people here have like mini farms.
Yeah.
Regular, and you can go in there. You just think, well, I can buy a beekeeper suit, and I can buy beehives, and I can buy these bottles for feeding calves.
Wow. Yeah.
And it's like you go in there, and they sell wood burning stoves, and you can. And here we buy wood by the ton.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we buy wood.
Not the little bundles we get from B&M's.
No. So when I buy wood, and we buy it by the cubic meter, I buy 12 cubic meters of wood a year.
Wow. You could build a small house. That's brilliant. I mean, because of that, and because of the nature of how it is there, I assume it just feels like everyone's more prepared then.
Yeah, this is the big difference. And I was ready to share this with you, and I thought you'll love this one. This is a real laugh. You have to be prepared here for rebellions, riots, and strikes at any moment. Like at any moment, they can kick off about anything. And it's one of the reasons why I adore the French, is they do not take any shit. None.
Yeah.
None at all. So when the cost of living crisis hit, the farmers went, hang on a minute. So you're charging all this money, but we're not getting any more money. So what the farmers did, which was amazing, is they blockaded Paris. Nobody could get in and out. They blockaded the petrol. So nobody could get in and out any fuel in and out of the depots. They blockaded the routes in and out of Holland. They blockaded the routes from Spain. They blocked the Pyrenees. Mm-hmm. And what that meant is pretty much within 48 hours, the supermarkets started to empty.
Yeah. Yeah.
You couldn't get fuel. So I don't know anybody here. And you go and buy petrol cans here, and the smallest ones are 20 litres.
Yeah.
So like everybody would keep 40 or 50 litres of fuel at home.
Right.
Everybody would keep a month food. Everybody's got water. Most people have got their own well, so they clean their own water. Yeah,
I'm gonna have to move. I'll be a neighbour soon. That's amazing. That really is, and it just feels so. It's not even like weird. It's like it's just common sense, and it just feels like that's missing here.
It is, and like I said, it's a big country, so you can live in the Alps, and then every winter you change your tires, put your winter tires on, and you would definitely get snowed in every year. Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing the differences. We get an inch of snow here and everything stops. So I'll ask you for one last thing. For anyone watching this who's not seen your channel before, obviously they're going to go over and subscribe now anyway, so they'll see everything. But what's the one bit of advice you could give to somebody to start them off on this journey? The people that, because I'm sure people say it to you all the time, oh, I haven't got any money to save. All my wage is gone. So what's the one bit?
Oh, the absolute one is to live off a written budget. So you know all the money coming in and all the money going out. And very few people do. Very few people do. Get yourself some kind of, whether you like to do that digitally, whether you like to use spreadsheets, whether you like to use an app, or just a good old-fashioned budget book. Write down everything you've got coming in and everything that you've got going out. Mm-hmm. And look at then the difference between those two figures.
Yeah.
Hopefully, there's more of one than the other, not the other way around. And then you can look at everything that you would spend that's the non-necessaries.
Yeah.
Because it's all the money people are spending on non-necessaries. So to put it as bluntly as possible, if people stopped buying crap, how much money do you think they'd have, Mike?
Lots. I know if I stopped buying coffee that was overpriced every morning, I would have a lot more money. Yeah, it's definitely one that I've looked at as well, because I do that. I have my wage going in. I have a spreadsheet. I have all my bills, everything like that coming out, and it calculates it up. It says at the end what I've got. And I look at what's at the end and I think, that's all right. That's good considering all the bills are paid. And that whittles so quickly on stuff I don't write down.
Yeah, the bit that you don't write down is all the stuff that are not regular bills. Your car tires, are they on your spreadsheet? They're a bill. The Christmas presents and birthday presents that you buy are a bill.
Yeah.
The haircuts you have are a bill. Your dental checkup is a bill. And when people start drilling down of everything you have to pay that is a bill, there's kids' school trips, they're a bill.
Yeah.
Your dog needs my dog needs a jab every year. That's a bill.
Yeah. Yeah.
And all of those things need writing down as well.
Yeah.
That's being prepared. That's the adult bit I said at the beginning.
Yeah.
I don't know how anybody can call themselves a prepper if they're not a saver and they're not prepared financially.
Yeah, I like to think I am. I'm definitely getting there, but it's never computed to me to not write down what's a regular monthly bill, because that's the difference, isn't it? It's a bill, but it's not something every month, so you tend to leave that off. So with stuff like that with the tires, then do you write that down and then take a bit out each month, or do you just write it down?
Yes, I do. In the frugal community and the money saving community, we call those sinking funds. So a sinking fund is an irregular fund. So for example, I have to pay my property tax of €750 in October, and they don't take it monthly. So I save up a bit each month, and then September I hand them the money, and it's exactly the same for all of those. So by the time I add up all my sinking funds, so clothing should go on the budget.
Yeah.
Everything should go on the budget. So, and the future things that you're going to buy, the mobile phone you've got, it's not immortal. It's going to need replacing. And when you do, so you don't take out finance to get another one, or you don't get one on a contract, you need to think, how much is that going to cost? Your future car is a bill. So we only pay cash for cars. So we save up for the next one. We start saving when we've bought the last one.
Yeah, it's great. It's actually an amazing way to think about it. I'm going to be doing lots of spreadsheet work after we finish this conversation. I can feel it. Well, I really appreciate you coming on and sharing your knowledge. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you here.
Thank you very much.
And thank you, everyone else, for joining us. Don't forget to check out Frugal Queen in France. She's got regular videos on there. Absolutely superb. I must admit, I love the random shots of the dogs at the end as well. I watch a whole video just to get to the dog shots, even if the subject I'm not quite watching for that. It's amazing. So, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, comment, all that wonderful stuff. And I will see you all in the next video. Bye. Yeah.